Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another Mario Nawfal X Live broadcast, your source for crypto daily news. I'm once again Pulse Digital here again with Kelly Kellum, chopping it up today with a panel of guests to talk about gaming and crypto gaming, among other things. And you're here live with us. If you're watching on X, there's a chat next to this video that you can participate in. It's like a YouTube chat, so you can talk as much as you want. You don't have to worry about spamming your timeline, and we'll keep an eye over there throughout the show. We'll try and participate along with you. Otherwise, I'm ready to hear from Kelly. How are you doing today, sir?
You know what? I am doing great. It's the end of a week that I feel like has never. This week feels like it's 3 months long, but we get to have these wonderful conversations here on the Mario Nawfal Crypto Daily Spaces. We got a wonderful panel to dive in today. We're also going to be diving into a little bit of this right here, Ashes of Mankind, towards the end of the show, getting a peek under the hood of what they're doing. But we got to talk a little bit about crypto with some of these voices here, Antonio, Gus, Adrien, and of course you as well, Pulse. But I'm feeling good. I'm just asking everybody that's tuned in, let's get the vibes up. It's Friday. Okay, Bitcoin pulled back a little bit. Can we all just recognize Bitcoin pulled back to the mid 90,000s? Only a few months ago, it's like, will we ever hit 100,000? And what does that mean for the rest of the crypto ecosystem? I don't know. Let's talk about it. Let's dive in.
I'm not worried in the slightest, man. This is normal stuff as far as I'd be concerned. People need Christmas money, is what I was making fun of some people for. It's just like that or tax harvesting. I don't know if everybody has to do taxes the same way they do in the United States, but some people close out positions at the end of the year. There's also just in the normal stock market and stuff like that, people exiting their own company positions or vested periods and stuff at the end of Q4. So for so many reasons, I am unbothered and staying in my lane by this. In fact, I had that dry powder ready like a semi-professional should in order to scoop up the things I think would be good to have around the next time. So things that I watched last time, I'll give you an example. AVAX is something that I just keep going down. As far as I'm concerned, I'm not positioned well enough on AVAX, and I'm not trying to FUD anyone that's got a bag, but I'll take it lower so I can keep getting in because I feel like I missed that. That blew up over the summer for gaming purposes, and I was starting to get in, and then it ran from like 32 to the mid 50s, and I feel like I missed it. So I'm following things. I'm not upset at all, sir.
I mean, I'm right there with you. When I hear it all the time. People talk about, man, I wish I got that. Maybe if it dips, I'll buy. And then it dips and people go, oh no. Mark Yusko has the best quote out there, and he says it regularly. He said it on my podcast. He said it here on the Mario Nawfal, almost said experience. The Mario Nawfal experience. That actually sounds nice. The Mario Nawfal Crypto Daily. And that is crypto investments in general is the only business in the world that when things go on sale, people run out of the store. So right now, what do? We stay in the store, we buy what's on sale, and we let her rip. Just have some patient hands because you know what? I think we're in for a doozy here, especially with the various narratives that are going to be exploding into this next year and beyond with AI, gaming, social finance. We just got off a space with a SocialFi dev, but there's so much to be cooking here. So Gus, this is the first time having you, at least me being on the show with you, and you've got such good vibes. I know you've been in this space for a while, CEO of Ultra.io, but what narrative is most exciting to you going into this next bullish period?
Well, to me, I see the market as those big traders just took the bonus off for the Christmas holiday. They need to buy present to everyone, took off the thing, and as you say, it's the sales period. It's the moment, yeah, where to me it's there's people selling to buy Christmas presents. Well, it's the moment where we buying our Christmas presents, which is our favorite crypto. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm not worried whatsoever. I mean, regarding the bullish period we're in, and politically in general, it's definitely. I mean, there is no doubt it's the moment where things going fine. It's just a little bump in the market just because of the Christmas present shit. That's my interpretation of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. But what narrative are you excited about in terms of different sub niches within the crypto ecosystem going into this bull market? Because some people are all in on AI. Some people are all in on DePIN. Some think gaming is going to, like Alex Becker thinks, gaming is going to be one of the mass
Yeah, no,
onboarding things. So
Well, if you're asking me, I mean, I just joined Ultra 4 to 5 months ago as an investor at first, and then start to get in deep into it and say, "Fuck, this is the company I want to invest in and run it." Right. So if you ask me, gaming is definitely something that you need to be in. I mean, obviously the things is already high on AI, and it's no risk. I mean, of course it's risk like investment, but it's already a bit late. Gaming is something that hasn't been watched enough by investors. It's interesting to see how much gaming is the type. I mean, it's an industry that's got a market cap that any other type of industry is jealous of, and the way it's still, archaic of how the consumer is acceding to the content. And this big change that like Spotify made into the music industry is not there whatsoever into the gaming industry. So some big shit will happen on the gaming industry to me, and Web3 is just like the peak, the peak of the iceberg of what can happen on the gaming industry.
I agree with that wholeheartedly. And I think off the grid, the rollout of off the grid kind of didn't knock the barrier down, but it did poke a hole through the wall, and we could see to the other side of what's possible. And you hit the nail on the head, Gus. The 3.2 billion gamers globally, and the gaming industry is larger than the movie industry and music industry combined, and it's not represented yet in the crypto market. So
no, exactly, and it doesn't have the right vision of the market today. Gaming industry and is still seen as like something for like for nearly for when you look at as an investor, like a classical investor. Gaming industry is still seen as for like the drug dealers, like it's still like a dark shit thing that if you putting your money in, you betting on something nasty. And next to that, it's just like the millions of consumer that's behind the market cap and the money that is still spent into it. When the classical investor will start to look at that carefully and with an objective view, the market will boom like nobody's fucking business.
Well, on that note, Adrien, I mean, you obviously are in the middle of, being a dev, a core dev in that sort of gaming side. So coming from, that sort of top down sort of objective and biased view, what is the issue, or are we too focused on the potential issues of past, and some of those things are about to basically be solved and deployed away this cycle? Are we there yet, or is it still, maybe a cycle and a half in before we really see the massive?
No, I think next year is definitely there. I think next year is when you are seeing all these big or small gaming projects within the Web3 industry that are ready finally. And yes, there is a focus on the past and all the nasty stuff that happened in the past in Web3 gaming. And I think we are past that. We are past a game that is just a token pump, and we are making actual games that actual players will want to play. And I think that's what was missing. And to Gus's point, games have matured. Game development studios in the Web3 industry have matured, and whereas during COVID, a lot of game developers in the Web3 space, they were actually Web3 developers. Now, a lot of game developers in the Web3 space, they are game developers, and I think it is a massive change, because when you put game developers with Web3 liquidity, well, you have access to things that were very hard to do before. And for us, well, luckily we have people like Gus and like Ultra behind us, with whom we share a vision, right? We share a vision where Web3 is the right fit for gaming, but the game has to be done for gamers, and it has to be done properly. And to be fair, it's not just us. You mentioned Off the Grid, and we speak with a lot of other small or large game developers that are at that point as well. But in order for a good game to be done, it takes 3 to 4 years, and we are just at that point. Next year, 2025, we are at that 3-4 years mark for good games to come out.
Kelly, it's interesting to see, because my background, I've been in investment for quite a while, and in the classical investment side. And it's interesting to see that the classical investors were before, like even like 12 months ago, they still looking the crypto as something very dark. And now everybody wants to jump in the boat. And when this will really happen, then the gaming industry into the Web3 will change. Because to make crazy games, as with the right, like sound and graphism and all this, needs a lot of money and time. The Web2 has been having those money. And let's be honest, I mean, the Web3 gaming until now, I mean, it's shit. There is a couple of good games, but it's very rare. And when the money will really start to float into the Web3 gaming, we'll see like crazy things that's going to come out. And happily for me, we jumped on the Ashes Mankind early enough. So that's the good bet we did.
Had a great conversation yesterday about what does mass adoption really look like, and it was interesting because we get caught up, and I'm using we broadly here, not that any of you guys are caught up in my we, but certain groups of people are designing games and certain groups of people are playing these games, and we forget what normal people enjoy. Like my mom loved Tetris. My mom loved Tetris, man, and that was such a simple game. And Kelly and I were a part of a great discussion about what do normal people want in a game, and what kind of game is really going to take everything by storm, because there are certain metas and genres. And the way that you guys just mentioned, it takes 3+ years to make a game. It's something that's interesting to think about. That means the games that are coming out right now are games that have been in development. They weren't inspired by what happened this summer. So that's not something that happened that made them say, man, we got to crank out a game. They're inspired by things that were happening 2 to 3, sometimes farther than back than that, years ago. And they've been getting these products out. Off the Grid is not a team of people that sat down and said, we want to do this right now. You guys didn't decide this summer to put out a shooter. What's interesting to think about is where games will be in 2 to 3 years, because we've got the same thing happening now. Games that are coming out, like I'll point to Pal World as a very different game than the conversation we're having right now, but it was a game that swept this spring and summer. Pal World was huge. Pokemon with guns, right? So how many people are going to be inspired in 2 or 3 years? Will we be seeing games of that nature, games of that style? And they're going to be able to use AI along their journey. So maybe it happens faster, or maybe it happens more dynamically than what we've had to go through now. So the shifting landscape of games is that it's interesting to think that what we see now, like what you said, is not what was just made last month. We have to wait for that development, Adrien.
No, exactly, and it's interesting to as an investor in Ashes Mankind and as the CEO of Ultra. Ultra is a company that's been doing R&D for the last 7 years, working as an R&D company. Now that I just jumped into the thing, we now going on the track of business. But like the way you have to think of building a tech that is not ready yet in the market, but that when your game is going to come out, when your investment will will mature, the tech will be able to be used, and you have to think at the very early stage, because otherwise you're just losing you're losing your track. So constantly thinking ahead. I fully agree with you, Paul. So it's a very interesting way of seeing things.
That's the nicest way some people have put the way my mind works. I can appreciate that, Gus. Adrien, what do you think?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, obviously, Gus and I's vision, they align. I would say perfectly. We've been working together for the last 4 months, and I think we've mutually inspired each other into the vision we're working towards. And we strongly believe in Ultra. They strongly believe in AOM, and we strongly believe that we have taken the right path. We've taken a path where we are making a game for millions of players. We are not making a game for 10,000 players that want to make an investment, and they are going to get back their investment within 2 weeks. We are doing something for the long term that is going to grow, that is going to attract people, and ultimately investors, be them people like Gus or people on the low end. Well, everybody can make a return on that investment, because they are just working long term, and it's going to stay long term, and it's going to work long term. It's something that you have to build. It's something that you have to maintain.
And the way you're building an economics of a game like Ashes of Mankind, which has been thought like 4 years ago. 4 years ago, the notion of mixing Web 2 and Web 3 was completely just a web impossible dream. And today it is. Ashes of Mankind, basically the Web 3 people is going to make money by because of the Web 2 players going to buy their shit, right? But having this able to do this now, it's something that's been thought like 4 years ago. Where it couldn't be real in the market because nothing was ready. And 4 years ago now, this is going to happen, and it's and also constantly looking forward things is an exciting place to be. It's like,
Well, on that note too, like we were discussing right before we went live, I started playing Starfield when it came out, and it was phenomenal. I mean, it was so phenomenal, but it was so engaging. I couldn't play it anymore because it was going to be too much of a time vampire. And I think this sort of also alludes to this huge rise in mobile games over the last 6 years or whatever, but also the advent recently of these mini games within the Telegram ecosystem. So there's all these small different means and mechanisms that are really providing all sorts of different avenues for gaming. Everybody thinks gaming, they think it's going to be GTA, off the grid, these crazy things. And in the reality, we were on a Spaces discussion yesterday with another panel, and one of the individuals was saying that micropayments, and this is how it ties into Web3, micropayments on stuff that you don't even realize. You're playing like a little farm thing, you're farming, you're speeding it up, or even like Sony or PlayStation, the micropayments end up making up a substantial portion of the profit margins for these games. So definitely. I think on these smaller games, they actually end up become the sort of adoption and excitement and profit gauge that will then fund the larger VCs to fund the bigger games in the future.
Exactly. I fully agree with that. Fully agree.
Yeah, and I think it's a path that developers should have taken 3-4 years ago when they wanted to make quick games. I think it would have been more logical to go mobile and provide something that players are already used to, rather than try to make pardon my French, half-assed PC games that nobody wants to play because that's not made for these types of gamers. But I think we are really getting to a spot where both can coexist. There is definitely one case to be made for mobile games, and I think Web3 is an absolutely great fit for mobile games. And then it can be a great fit for PC games. I mean, Off the Grid is starting to prove that, and I think there is more space in there for more games like Off the Grid, absolutely, including, of course, Ashes of Mankind.
Yeah, I want to quickly step in, and when we talk about games is a very general word, right? Because from one side we have Stardew Valley, Candy Crush, and from the other side we have Call of Duty and Battlefield. And I've seen that recently the Web3 space is pushing very a lot on the AAA side. But what about the casual gamers? What about the wives that are at home, or the boomers, right? They play games as well, and they spend a lot of money on this game, right? And if you consider that the top grossing games like Clash of Clans, Clash Royale, and even Candy Crush, they made in their revenue over than $20 billion USD. That, just for giving you context, is 3 games has made more money than the entire market cap of Web3 games, right?
I fully agree. I fully agree. I fully agree with you. But at the end, when you look at the gaming industry in general, I fully agree that all those like very small, mobile games is very attractive for the Web3. It's developed with less budget, and it's micropayment, and the audience is super large. But to have a sustainable game, when you look at what I believe is that what's going to happen to the Web3 is what happened to the Web2, and why is this now the Web3 is mostly populated with small games is because there is no budget. I mean, let's be clear. The budget, the Hollywood type of budget that you're putting on the game is not on the Web3 games. It's only on the Web2. And when this will come, you will have some major games that are gonna be like a real bricks into the gaming thing. But fully agree with you. The small
but
mobile
also,
games is definitely something big.
Another big issue that we've seen before in Web3 in the early days of Web3 gaming is that the majority of the investment that an investor would put into developing a game would end up going into marketing. And you would see this weird investment that would go, 80% towards marketing, 20% towards development. but it's not how we make a game. Like with a game, you need 80% of your investment into actually having a team that develops a game and then marketing that game. And I think to your point earlier, Kelly, it's really sticking today to players and to game medias, where they are looking at Web3 and they're like, oh, another game being pumped with false promises because that game is never going to come out. And all we are going to get is just another token and that's it, and no game behind it. And I think it's starting to be resolved, and it is important that game developers really stick to resolving that and to delivering products before they deliver marketing.
Yeah. Or be so excited about the tech of the Web3 side that they forget to focus on what the experience, the journey, and the other side of this, that still in so many businesses, people forget about the customer, not just service, but customer engagement. How do you build a community? It's having an active top-down community that's keeping people updated, keeping the lore going, letting them know what new things are coming, because so many people focus all this energy on the launch that they don't have anything to follow it up with. You've got to have things stacked into the future.
Yeah, 100%. Web3 is not a selling point. Like when you used to see these games saying Web3 on the front page of their website, it's really showing that they don't understand players. Web3 is not a selling point. It's like saying that your game runs on the Amazon game servers. It's not a selling point. Players don't care about that. They care about the experience.
Yeah, I agree with Adrien here. Like, listen, building Web2 games, it's extremely hard, right? And I know very well that's because I've built a bunch of them. Now, when you're building Web3 games, it's like adding, rocket science on top of something that is already very hard to come up with. And the problem is that the past game dev that so far have been built game, they have built them with the wrong expectation, right? Most of them, they try to replace the fun part with the economical part. So player was playing those games not because they were fun or they were entertained, but just because they were chasing an airdrop, to then floor the token at market price, right? While in reality, the Web3, it's an enhancement and not a replacement to the experience, right? I play games because first off, I want to be entertained, I want to have fun, I want to make friends, right? And then if I'm able to make some money on top of that, that is good, that is super, but it's not the primary reason that I'm playing a game. Like, if I'm playing a game just to make money, then we are not talking about games anymore. We are talking about works, right?
So I'm going to echo your sentiment, and I'm going to say almost nearly the same thing. I know Web3 gaming is hard, but not because I built a lot of them, because I've played a lot of them, and they're not all good. And that's how I know it must be hard, because otherwise there'd be more good games. I wouldn't be able to tell you that. And I'm not saying that I could do better, but I'm just saying I'm your target audience. This is what's funny about these conversations. I'm your user at the end of this. I've been gaming since games were games. I've always said it like that. I was born with that controller in my hand, and I'm the target audience for these things. And everything you guys are saying is right. I don't want to open a website and hear about the wallets. I don't want to hear about get an NFT first. Then 2021, a lot of the popular games required you to have an NFT just to get on. And it was like that now, looking back, seems so foolish. And it was so widely accepted as like, well, this is going to have to be the way you do it. And Kelly and I just finished that discussion about abstraction being my buzzword, because now people don't want to know, man. They don't want to see the wallet. They don't want to see the words. They don't want to talk about it. So what are we waiting for when it comes to a breakout? It's going to be when we don't call it Web3 gaming and when we just start calling it gaming again.
Yes. Yeah. And what's crazy, to your point, is that there was no reason to do any of that. You could use Web3, you could use NFTs, you could use the technology in a way that players are still familiar with. But for some reason, the original Web3 developers were so disconnected from gamers. They just did not see that. And they thought that, telling people that, oh, now you really own your physical, your virtual assets. Players don't really care about that. They care about, okay, am I playing a game that I enjoy playing or not? And that's it. That starts here. And then everything that is, oh, maybe I can monetize my game time, or maybe I can own items, or maybe I can resell them. It's a good bonus, but it is a bonus that is number 30 of the list of things that players are looking for when they are playing a game.
Yeah, I personally, I never heard of anyone playing Counter-Strike just because he wanted, to trade skins, or anyone playing World of Warcraft because he enjoyed to open loot boxes, right? Same as me talking about Counter-Strike. Few years ago, I was trading skins on the game. First off, because I enjoyed the game. Second thing, because I like the speculation side, right? And this is why I'm Web3. And man, I was every day risking getting my account banned with over 1,000 of USD worthing of games, just because I couldn't trade the skin freely on an open marketplace, right? I had to use third-party software, so exposing my account to ban, or even worse, to give the password to some system that then can drain all my in-game asset, right? And this is where the Web3 start to be interesting, where essentially we as game studio, we actually allow players to have the speculation side, and actually we incentivize that, right? But this doesn't mean that at the same time we should neglect the fun part. So it's
So,
all
exactly.
about
Antonio, I don't want to. I'm going to get you. I'm going to go to you, Gus. But Antonio, did you see the video that CoffeeZilla released yesterday about Counter-Strike casino gambling yet?
not yet, but
Okay,
I'm sure now.
I barely started it by like 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know anything about it, but I promised myself I'd finish it this weekend. Next time we meet up, I want to hear what you think about that. Okay.
Let's do it.
All right, Gus. Sorry to interrupt. I just had to get him on that.
No worries. No, I was just saying that at the end, games is like any other product. Like a product is just about emotions. If there is no emotions, there is no product. You just don't want to have it. And games from any type of product is the same thing. If you don't give emotion to your consumer, it's not going to work. And when you're playing games, you want to have emotion at first. And each audience is expecting different emotions. But when the more you advance into gaming, the more you want to have crazy emotions. And so it needs investment behind. And now we're getting there on the Web3.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Like now on Web3, there is a lot of push on the speculation side, but the social side is very undervalued. Like let's not forget that players, they like play games because they want to feel entertained and escape the reality, right? I think that here and all the watcher of the show, they had meet some friends some point online thanks to gaming, right? I remember during COVID, I was playing games which I didn't like, but anyway, I was playing them. That's because every night with my gang, I was spending my time on Discord talking about, our life, our day, and at the same time, we was utilizing the game, to focus our time. But at the end of the day, that was just an excuse to spend quality time together, and stay all
100%.
together, right? And
100%.
It's sad because Web3 game is not pointing on that feeling, right? It's all about, okay, it's fun, it's rewarding, but what about the human connection? About, hey guys, come to play with me, let's make some match together, and at the same time, let's know each other and let's see where it goes.
Exactly. And this needs a bit more investment than just a fucking tab game. It needs time, it needs money, it needs to, like experts in terms of UX, UI, design, sound, everything. You need the best guys in the market to build those type of games. And until now, those guys was just like stuck into the Web2 markets. Now we really, the Web3 is really able to get those high hand resources on this part of the gaming industry. No, definitely.
Yeah, but I really liked what you said, Antonio, about it's almost like a fracture in how culture is now, because we don't have the ability to say, hey, as men, especially, hey, let's get together and talk. That would never happen. When I used to live in Las Vegas years ago, we would smoke hookah, just, the tobacco hookah all the time. And I always get very introspective and think through things. And I was like, I realized all it was an excuse to sit together and talk, but say, hey, we're doing that. But what are you doing? You get this sort of time limit, or this time sort of allocation. If we're going to smoke, it'll probably be an hour and a half, 2 hours. That means we're going to have an hour and a half, 2 hours to spend time together, but we don't have to say, hey, Antonio, will you come and spend time with me? For some reason, we don't have that wherewithal as humans to do it. We need to get back to that. But also, playing games is fun. Smoking hookah can be entertaining, but understanding what it is, facilitating community connection and connecting over these subtopics or these different things, and facilitating that, and in the process also revolutionizing the way gaming's done by giving authority, or at least some authority, back to the end user themselves, while also protecting them through security. I mean, I think it's really exciting And if anybody out there is listening and they don't care about games, realize that games and pornography, whether or not you like those two things, they drove your ability to watch this on video bandwidth right now, because these sort of tech revolutions, the need for data, the need for quality high HD video to be able to stream, and multiple people communicating at the same time. Gaming tech drives other tangential tech that will affect every aspect of what you're doing online.
And I think Antonio actually, he really hit the nail on the head, right? Antonio, with the fact that one of the primary things that Web3 could resolve and could have sold to players is actually security. Because if you look at Counter-Strike, well, what they offer is that you can resell for Steam points. But then you have to go through the shady, Russian-owned, crazy dark websites where you can resell your stuff, and then, well, of course, you get banned or you get your account stolen, etc. If there was one thing that Web3 could have resolved as a starting point, it was this. It's, well, now you are 100% secure. It doesn't matter what it means that you own your assets. What matters is that you can trade your assets securely. That's the offer that should have been done originally.
Yeah, definitely.
And beyond that, there's a whole tangential economy that's built on that as well, because this means people can, in a lot of cases, not in every case, but in a lot of cases with Web3 gaming, because there's assets that you can own. There's also going to be marketplaces for people that have never played the game that buy and trade those different assets as well.
Of course, exactly. And that we were saying that the gaming industry was like building the tech of tomorrow on the Web3. It's so true. The investment of how that should be, and all this smart contract to make able people that not even playing the game but making money because they buying lands of resource, and then designer who's building a weapon and able to sell it on the marketplace to be used on the game. All those things will be able to be things that's going to be able to be to exist thanks to gaming. And this thing is going to come in other type of industry because the gaming industry has built it.
And you know what? This kind of makes me think about, I mean, I don't even remember how long ago it is since I got in crypto. My entire time relation is broken. I think it was about 15 years ago. It could have been even a little bit before that. But there's a game called Second Life. For anybody that was familiar with Second Life, and that was actually the first real sort of use case, sort of proof of concept of Web3 before it was possible.
Yes,
because it was so engaged, and people were out there building characters, creating real estate, all this, and trading it on some basically black market, gray market, because there was no safe means to do so. And if there was destruction, I remember there were some court cases because there was different digital things that were stolen in the digital world, because people had like a true affinity and connection to that because they spent time. Now on Web3, I'm excited to see something like Second Life in Web3. That's going to be the true expansion of like the metaverse, Web3 gaming. It's like it's a whole new world.
I know someone on Second Life that has become a multimillionaire through being a virtual tailor. She was crafting like items and clothes for players in Second Life, and she just made millions out of that.
That is incredible. Holy moly.
The social proof effect is real. Like if you consider about League of Legends, and I'm talking about a game that made billion of dollars in revenue, they're not selling any item that give you any benefit in game. It's just skins, right? So it's just the cosmetic appearance of your character, and this lets you understand how important is now having the online presence and the online cosmetics. Even when you talk about the high-end retail, like the luxury brands as Rolex and the Mars Piguet, day, they are not better watch, but it's about the status, right? And the same thing is happening about games when there are people spending $100 on Call of Duty buying skins with nice virtual effect. That's because it's a way for them to show their lifestyle. And Second Life, it was ahead of their time. That's because there again people was about showing off, and we know that people like this kind of things, and there is demand.
So let me hit you with this, and I know we're getting close to the AMA, so we won't have time to go so far into this, but we're all talking about how Web3 gaming is going to be great for items and stuff like that. But you know what I'm really fascinated with? Web3 gaming employment, because that's a thing too. I can totally forecast being able to hire mercenaries to help me finish raids. I can see myself transacting with individuals to act as a bard on my campaign because they're legitimately.
Pulse.
Yeah,
Are you saying that we could hire Leroy Jenkins?
Literally, yes. Yes. If you wanted to imagine a cameo style version of a game where you could hire a celebrity to come and be a part of your game. And then what you're going to get is a smart contract agreement, that automatically you pay into with your gaming tokens. They're paid out for their time in game. They have to show on chain that they were in the raid. It's all verifiable. It's trustless. Like, I don't even talk about stuff like this. This is not a project I've run into. This is just, I can tell you, this will be a thing. As someone who played a lot of Destiny looking for group was a revolution because it was impossible to find people to finish raids with. But imagine a pantheon of champions waiting with price tags, like John Wick standing there like, I will help you complete your raid and drag your sorry ass to the end and give you the gold chest. And you're like, I will pay you for that. And you can hire out your group, or Overwatch, or Marvel Rivals right now. If you needed a team of someone that you could team up with your powers, Web3 gaming solves all this. Blockchain solves that in my mind.
Yeah, and that's interesting that you mentioned that, because it's one of our core offering for the Web3 side of Ashes of Mankind, the Empire side of Ashes of Mankind, where the players that play that side of the game, they can monetize their time, but they can also ensure that they hire players to do what they need, and players play the game, the actual FPS, in order to bring them back resources and anything that they might need for evolving on the Empire side of things. And so it connects very well with what you were saying in terms of the mercenary. Yeah.
Gus, you wanted to get in on that too, I think.
Yeah, no, it's totally, and again, as Kelly was saying, this is the typical example where you see that the gaming industry is building business model and tech for other industries, and this type of things will come out in other type of industry, and in the Licks industry, in the service industry. I mean, what we're talking about here, the way you can copy paste and put it into the normal service industry is just tremendous. All the possibilities and business models that can be built out of it. So this thing is I'm fully with you, Pulse. The way you can hire people is just crazy.
Yep, and think about that too. Same thing if you're a blacksmith and you just want to run your blacksmith shop. If you're running a bakery, and you brought up Second Life, which is a very cool subject. If you guys don't know the history of Second Life, you could have an entire career of just doing the thing that you want to do and supplying for other gamers who have other things they want to do. And when we get into what is truly that Ready Player One style metaverse, you'll have a job. You'll have a metaverse job, and it'll be the thing that you enjoy. Maybe you'll have a little flower shop.
Like a digital real estate agent.
100%. Oh, 100%. But the kind where you still have to go to shitty showings and they don't show up, and you walk through the house and point everything out. Like all the problems of a real estate agent, without like the physical risk of going into an unoccupied structure.
And with AI and all of that, you need to make sure that we have to offset this job somewhere, right? AI, robots, everything coming. People need to have a job somewhere. So a digital job sounds like a pretty good trade-off.
Well, I want to mention on that too, that you just said something I think so many people are not realizing. There's all this talk about the displacement that's happening when AI comes in, and people are not recognizing, one, things always evolve and change. The same thing was said when we went from horse and buggy to cars. The same thing was said when we went, just name the technology. It has displaced certain jobs. Yes, they get outdated or just go away completely, but entire other industries are born, And, that's just the nature, we have to adapt or die. That's kind of like the theme of nature. And so some people are going to be ahead of that curve and be way early and really capitalize. Some people are going to get left in the dust and wonder why the world is so hard and they lost their job. We all need to do a better job of speaking to our friends and family that are negative, that are victims, because all of us have victims in our life where they're just a victim of everything, and say, hey, there's all these possibilities. Here, I'm showing you the path now. Just go and poke some fun in it. Even if you're aware of AI crypto right now, just being aware of it, you're ahead of 7 billion people on the planet.
I agree with you. Yeah, no, definitely. And that's and I think at some point, because you were talking about like the social aspect of gaming, I think that the Web3 and all those jobs, the way they can link it with the real life afterwards is also a very interesting, like next phase out of it. Is that it's the digital that all of a sudden is going to give another life to the real life, and it's
certainly another layer. It's another layer to it, right? It makes another layer for their life. It's just like having a second job or another social group outside your first group.
Exactly.
So it's an interesting phenomenon. We're going to pivot into the AMA. We promised at the beginning of the show that we were going to slice off the end of this to have our conversation about Ashes of Mankind. And in order to do that, first, I would remind all of you that if you're watching on the X Live broadcast, first, we appreciate that you're tuning in, watching live. You could have been anywhere, but we appreciate that you're watching the show. And secondly, if you're watching and you're a project or someone that would like to feature on a show like this, send a DM to this account that you're watching right now. IBC incubates projects, and we have conversations about all kinds of different things on different blockchains, gaming, AI, DPIN, RWA. We do it all, and you could do this too. So send the account a message if you'd like to have a conversation with me and Kelly and the boys up here on one of these shows. Otherwise, I'm going to give it to Ashes of Mankind, and we pretend that someone that just logged in hasn't heard any of what we talked about, so let's not assume they know anything. Let's start with a top-down explanation of what is Ashes of Mankind.
Well, first, I thank you guys for having us. I love that we get to speak about Ashes of Mankind, because obviously, first and foremost, it is a passion project. It has been for me. It has been for my team. We've gone through a lot of things to bring you guys Ashes of Mankind. So Ashes of Mankind, well, it is a tactical, high-stakes extraction shooter where survival, strategy, and your skills are key to your success as a player. It's a game that blends competitive PvP. I would say it's a very top, with survival mechanics, a certain level of tactical depth, although we make sure that we retain the accessibility, and persistent progression of your character.
So with that being said, we just covered quite a bit of different aspects of the crypto gaming ecosystem, and there's so many different, it feels like there's so many different opportunities and options, and some are good and some are bad. What sets Ashes of Mankind Citadels? What sets it apart from the competition? What are some of the unique characteristics that you're excited to be talking about?
Yeah, so one of the unique thing, if I'm starting on the Web2 purely side of things, I would say, is the intensity of the game. It is a game where every match you play has you progress in real time. It is a game where every match you play is a new challenge, a new risk that you are taking. But it is also a game where you play in a vertical environment. In a closed vertical environment, which is something that is very rarely done and has very rarely been seen in gaming. Ultimately, it's something that keeps you on the edge of your seat and that keeps your heart pumping, because well, it's been made by primarily. I was a game director on the game, right? And one of the reasons I came up with AOM was to try to get players as closely as possible to what it feels like to be a soldier on a battlefield. I was in the military before, and what's missed in games oftentimes is that you don't really feel that pressure that you would actually feel if you were on a real battlefield. Players they play in a way that they are going to respond. But okay, what if you are to lose something that is truly valuable to you? And that is going to engage you to try to survive for as long as possible. Then suddenly players they play completely differently, right? Suddenly you play like your virtual life. I would say it depends on it.
So talking about the gameplay and actions of Empires, what is the impact in game on the economy of Citadels? These games are connected, right? So players' actions in Empires impact what's happening in Citadels?
Yeah, so there is a bridge between Empires, Web3, and Citadels, Web2. Empires. First of all, we are the first game, as far as I know, that really splits both experiences. Web 2 on one end, Web 3 on the other end. In Empires, you monetize your game time, and through monetizing your game time, you offer valuable cosmetics and items to players that play the Citadel's experience. When you play the Citadel's experience, Web 2 experience, you are not exposed to any of that. You play the game just like you would play a Valorant, you would play a Counter-Strike. There is no wallet, there is no token, but there is a bridge that is being made between Empires and Citadels, where the Empires players, they are core to the game economy of Citadels. And alternatively, or vice versa, rather, Citadels players, they are core to making sure that Empires players, they can really build their empire through getting resources that they can only get through hiring players that play the Web3 experience of the game.
Can you tell me a little bit about what's on Kelly's screen right now? What are we looking at since we don't have the audio there?
Yeah, so what you're looking at here is one of the character customizer in the game. So one of the character in the character customizer. You can entirely customize your character. It is highly advanced, and a lot of these cosmetics, they are cosmetics that players can acquire actually thanks to the Empire's players. You can customize your hair, you can customize your eyes, you can have head wears, mid layers. As you can see on your screen, you have a lot of options when it comes to cosmetics. They have no impact on the power of characters.
So it's not any kind of a pay to play by the better costumes, anything like that.
And I want to be clear, there is no pay to win whatsoever in the game. You can never buy power in the game. Everything has been made to ensure that every player has the same chance based on their skills. Players play the game for free, and everything that they can buy, everything that they can acquire is just enhancing that experience.
So as the trailer plays on, they're customizing weapons and stuff like that. Those red dot sights, rails, and stuff like that, these are earned in game. This isn't something I can just drop a boatload of money on and have an advantage then.
Yeah, everything you see there is dropped inside of the game. It's what we call gameplay items. Gameplay items are not on the blockchain. They are purely dropped inside of the game. You can acquire them through playing the game. You can craft them, but if you want to craft them, you have to play the game. You have to acquire the resources for crafting these items.
Excellent. And then looking at the gameplay, because there's a little bit of gameplay that comes up in the trailer, I have played a fair first-person shooters, and I know the subtle differences between a lot of game styles. What are some of the inspirations in the games that you've played? Because I would say that this is not a run and gun. This doesn't appear to be like a Call of Duty style fast shooter, respawn, die. I see more of the thoughtful process in this, teamwork in this, right? What are some of your inspirations here?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I would say that some of the inspiration, it's a blend between purely from a gameplay perspective, a blend between Escape from Tarkov and Rainbow Six Siege. So it's a bit of a faster paced Escape from Tarkov. It's a more accessible Escape from Tarkov when it comes to moving your character. It is very grounded. It's AAA inspired. It's a AAA game controller. So when you play, it is reactive. When you move, it's reactive. Everything is reactive. We wanted to make sure that people feel like they are playing a game that is accessible. Ultimately.
Can you tell me about that red light that's going on right now?
Yeah, so this is called the dark floor. One aspect of the game is that everything that happens in the game is also storytelling. It is also an art, and so when you have to move up the citadel, instead of having some gas pushing you up, we wanted to make sure that it is a little more interesting. So the lights switch off and this emergency light switch on, as well as security systems. It is your cue to start moving up the citadel, start moving up the skyscraper.
And there's some games use a bubble or a storm is what Fortnite uses, something to just continually push the fight so that camping's not a thing or people aren't establishing positions, right?
But we wanted something more organic, a little more storytelling, a little more interesting in terms of visuals.
And what happened when they reached the top up there? What's the goal? To be the final survivor to reach the chopper?
Well, the final goal is to extract safely, right? So as you play the game, you acquire gear. And if you want to keep that gear for future matches, you have to extract. If you extract, you keep that gear for future matches. the higher you move up the citadel, the better and the rarer the gear that you can find. So the more you move up, the better gear you're going to find until the final extraction in the game, which is the rooftop. But once you reach the rooftop, it means that you probably will have another or two other teams with you. So the stakes become high and your chances of survival go down. So it's really a choice that you are making throughout the game, whether you want to push your luck or whether you feel like you are well set up or your skill is good enough to keep moving up the citadel and acquire more gear.
Well, that's see what I really like about that is it's like where we're at with Web3. It's not just payments, micropayments, ownership. It's also the integration that we're seeing with AI and adaptive, or somewhat to some level, adaptive storylines that you kind of help push forward and stuff. So I know you just spoke a little bit about that. My attention was slightly skewed while I was doing both the screen share and this. So I apologize if you did just answer this, but can you talk a little bit more about that? And also, like the DApp impact, the in-game economy and stuff, other than just the adaptive sort of storylines that you could participate in?
Yeah, absolutely. The DApp impact is fairly simple, I would say. Players that want to monetize their game time will ensure that they had a platform to do so. And that platform is supported thanks to the Web2 players on the Citadel side of things. And again, vice versa, right? Players from Citadel, they can play a game for free because they have people on the Web3 side of things that are supporting the game financially through themselves investing and generating revenue. If I put it very shortly on the DApp side of things, like one of the primary features that we have, players can stake a token. When they stake the token, they discover cosmetics and technology for the game. And when they discover that cosmetic and technology, they can then put it for sale on the marketplace for people on the Citadel side of things that want, a new hat or a new pair of eyes or whatever that they want to showcase so that they can look cool on the battlefield.
That's interesting, the way to use the tokens. Can you tell me a little bit about the team? Because the game, I honestly, after watching the video and stuff, I don't know who wouldn't want to play it. But tell me about the team. What makes you guys uniquely qualified to bring all this to life?
Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, we have a team of 20 people, so we are a fairly small team compared to what we have been able to deliver so far. But it is 20 people, veteran of the gaming industry, 20 people that have worked on massive projects like Rainbow Six Siege, Age of Empires, games that everybody knows and loves and have played in the past. And that is how we ensure that we consistently deliver quality despite the size of our team, and that we constantly deliver a product that we know players will want to play, because we are not only game developers for many, many years, we are also gamers for many, many years.
Well, what I love about that, though, is like the two teams, even the two games that you just specifically identified, Rainbow Six and Age of Empires, two very different games. And, it kind of harkens to even just watching through the gameplay and hearing some of the different storyline options. It seems to me like it's kind of hard these days to find a reinvention of motifs or a reinvention of what the gameplay experience is going to be without it just being a replica that's just reskinned in a different game. So it seems, unless my eyes are broken, that you guys, with these blended teams of experience have actually kind of established this sort of reinvention of a blending of two different type of gameplays.
Yeah, absolutely. And we, more than that, I think that we are some of the best people out there to do an actual successful Web3 game, just because we are actual game developers, and when we looked at how do we want the economy to work, we look at it from the perspective of, well, who would have fun doing that as well? Not just, as Antonio, I think, was saying, being bored to death because it's a second job at the end of the day, making sure that it's also fun, and something that you're not just doing to make money, because that's what people are looking for, right? They are not just looking at making money. If they are in gaming, it's for a reason. They are gamers. And so we strongly believe that the reason we came up with something unique within the Web3 industry is because we are actual game developers and we understand what is fun and what players want to play. And then we have the guys at Ultra behind us that have the technology and that support us with the technology and the funding, of course, to ensure that all of this can work and can be executed without us having to worry too much about the Web3 tech, and making sure that we deliver the best game experience possible.
So as I looked at your X profile before the show, which is Ashes of Mankind, all one word, Ashes of Mankind, I noticed that there was a Kickstarter campaign that was being talked about on there. Can you tell me about the Kickstarter campaign?
Yeah, absolutely. So the Kickstarter campaign, well, we wanted to give our community a chance to be a part of our journey. I would say that's the primary reason we have the Kickstarter campaign going on. But also, it is for us a way to reach the mainstream audience. As a fairly small developer, Kickstarter felt like to us it was the right path. It's a path where you get your project to be seen by players that want to find the gem projects early on, these diamonds early on. So for us, that was one of the better options that we felt like we could take, and just to show that, well, we want to work with the communities that we are hearing already, because we have a community, and that we want to keep building with. And in our Kickstarter, we like to think that we are pretty generous, so we make sure that our backers, they get unique rewards with IOM branded Razer headsets, exclusive cosmetics. But also fairly unique things like being able to see yourself in the game by making a version of you inside of Ashes of Mankind, a version of you that's usually going to die, by the way, unfortunately for you. You can see yourself die in Ashes of Mankind.
That's good, man. I appreciate you guys bringing it in here and talking about this with us. I'm keeping an eye on the clock. Is there anything with the audience that we've got gathered here, anything that we might have missed, any final thoughts or a call to action for everyone that's currently here, Adrien? We kind of showed the website, talked about the Kickstarter, but what more could we have them do for you?
Well, I would love for Gus to put his 2 cents in there. I think I've covered a lot of our end, but they are such a strong partner that I think it's only fair that Gus, you have some time for yourself.
Well, no, it's just as you guys saw, as an investor, you're just so happy to jump on such a project so early. So it's very exciting. So well, and it's the type of game that's so easy to sell. We've got partnership with Intel, with all those guys, that's the Razer and whatnot. So it's easy to sell because it's been a lot of time, a lot of money, extremely high-end team, and with a real vision. And when you've got a good product, we were talking about the product and emotion earlier. When you've got a good product that gives emotion, it's just a pleasure to support it. And so yeah, if anybody wants to be as happy as I am, go on Kickstarter and take a shares on it. And it's just and for us it's important because it's the investment. As a gaming platform, you need to have those exclusivity on games that makes you special and makes people coming into your place. And Ashes of Mankind is definitely the right bet for us to exist on the market.
Yeah. Come support us on our Kickstarter. Share it. It's almost as important as backing us, I would say. And what I would love, Kelly, Pulse, Antonio, is for us to have a game session. We would love to have you guys. We play at least every Friday, and it's going to expand in January. So if you guys have some time, we would love to show you around and show you how well you can die in Ashes of Mankind.
Let's do it.
I'm ready. I'm ready to take you on. Okay, I got. I'm ex-military. I'll take you on. I'm gonna take you. Unless we're on the same team, then we'll take everybody else on.
Well, I am ex-military as well, and we have another guy. So what I would say, we should go on the same team, and we should organize an event where we take on the rest of the Citadel. That would be a fun one.
Well, I just have to say I've been pleasantly surprised. Not that I was thinking anything less, but it's always great when you have such a great panel like this, Gus. I mean, the insights and input you have from the investment side, and also the market participant side, and Antonio, a game developer yourself, and of course Adrien. This game, I'm sitting there watching this. I'm sitting there thinking, I want this call to end right now so I can go figure out how to play it, because that looks freaking badass. Off the grid? What about off the grid? Ashes of Mankind. I'm definitely going to be jamming this.
That's the alpha, guys, that you were waiting for. That's the alpha.
And everybody, just remember, it's on Twitter. It's or x.com/ x.com/ashes of mankind _ as you see there. And you can find more information of them here on their website, ashesofmankind.com. And they have the information on their Kickstarter here as well. But what an absolutely pleasant conversation, and what great alpha seeing where the crypto gaming space is going, Web3, and then seeing that, we asked you early on, are we there yet with gaming? And looking at that trailer, hell yeah, we're there. Let's get it out there and let's start playing it.
There we go.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Kelly.
Appreciate you guys for choosing a Mario Nawfal video spaces to come hang out with us today. All the listeners that came through and left comments, thank you very much. Thanks to the team that puts me and Kelly in place to do this every day. You guys know there's a team that provides all this back end work for us, and we appreciate them. And Kelly, another great job, man. I appreciate you helping me co-host these things. Let's shut it down. I appreciate you guys.
Hey, we love you all. Everybody that's tuned in, thank you for being here, and the entire panel, thank you again. We'll be seeing you around. Remember, don't trip by the dip, not financial advice. That's just how you look to the profits in the future. Let's get it, everybody. We'll see you in the next one.
Thank you. Bye, guys.
See you then. Bye.